We're continuing our next math installment series. This is the theory of 1 plus 1, ordering chaos. If you haven't already done so, I suggest you watch the YouTube series called The General Math Construct on YouTube. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that my classes are not like the classes you're going to have in high school or college or hell, anywhere else. So, put your safety belts on, get your cup, and let's get ready to fucking rumble. We're going to start the theory of 1 plus 1, referencing back to the General Math Construct video 4. We see that we have a pile of sand there, and that sand is comprised of little individual grains of sand. We call each one of those 1 grain of sand. And whether we're looking at it as 1 million grains of sand or 1 pile of sand, we can reference these, either break it down into the 1 million parts, all these little tiny ones added together, or we just look at it as a giant one pile. And we could take 1 pile and add it to another pile, and we just could call that a bigger pile, or 1 pile of sand. And that could have equaled 1 sandcastle. So this is where the theory of 1 plus 1 really starts, is that all math is 1 plus 1. Now, it does not say all math is 1 plus 1 equals 1. It just says all math is 1 plus 1. And this goes back to that idea of calculus, about calculus just being able to add 1 to something. So anything can be broken down or built up to equal 1, no matter how much your teachers lied to you, no matter what your teacher says to you at school. This is the truth. The real part of this is that there is no math, that this math is just a symbolic representation of what you want something to be. When you talk about something being 1, when you talk about something being 10 or a million, you're talking about a symbol representing that. But that symbol that represents a 1, a 10, a million, whatever the number is just a bunch of dots. It's a bunch of grains of sand. Okay? So that's where people get confused. They confuse the numbers, the symbols, with the actual count of something. Whether you use the words or whether you use a symbol, this is where things get confusing. So a million plus 1 million, right? That becomes somewhat confusing to some younger children because they don't conceptualize 1 million in their mind. But if you know what a million dots look like, if you know what a million grains of sand look like, you can conceptualize adding all those millions together and what you actually have. The symbols are a shortcut. They're a shortcut, so you don't have to write out a million little dots. Okay? So if you can get that, you can see that's why they use symbols. Because if I had to write a million dots instead of seven symbols to represent a million, it would take forever. And I don't want to look at a million dots. I don't want to look at a million grains when I'm referencing to it on a piece of paper or talking to somebody. I don't want to count in ones. Oh, I have 1 grain of sand, 1 grain of sand, 1 grain of... No, I have a million grains of sand. So that's the symbol. That's the word we use. That's the phrase we use, right? So that's why you have to learn the symbols. That's why you have to learn how to speak and communicate about 1,999,999, whatever the number be. You have to be able to communicate it in an efficient manner. So, if anything can be broken down or built up to equal 1, we can always come back to this idea of, even if it's little spoons of peanut butter, like you have 4 little spoons of peanut butter, well, I can really take each one of those spoons of peanut butter, the first 2 spoons of peanut butter and the next 2, and I can add those spoons together and get slightly larger spoons of peanut butter, right? Until I come up with one actual large spoon of peanut butter. So whether I break it down into little tiny spoons and then small spoons and then a larger spoon, it does not matter. We can do this in mathematics. There's no problem with it. And, it's frankly going to make your teacher pissed off at you. Your teacher's going to be fucking pissed off with you because you know what you're going to do? You're going to go into your classroom and you're going to piss your teacher off. I know you're going to do that. You're going to say to your teacher, hey teacher, up on that chalkboard there, that everything is 1s on that chalkboard. Everything you got. And he's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean everything is 1s? Well, I saw this YouTube video. And in this YouTube video, this guy who taught it in university and high school, he says everything up there on 1. It's just 1 plus 1. It's 1. 1. He goes, explain yourself. Okay, y is 1, v is 1, dv divided by dx is 1. What don't you understand, teacher? What don't you get? He's like, but at the end it says it's equals 0. Exactly, teacher. 1, 1, 0. It equals 1, 0. He says, oh, me. Get your ass to the principal's office. And what does the principal say? We don't do that here. You know, we don't, that's not how we learn math. That's not how we don't act like that in classrooms, because this is what the curriculum says, and this is what we're supposed to be taught, and this is the way it's supposed to be, right? Because they want you to be ordered. Everything's got to be ordered, right? Isn't that the way it works? You can't tell the principal, you can't tell the teacher what you think about math. You have to give them the answers that they want you to give them. That's the way it works. You don't have a choice. And you know you don't have a choice. And if you try to have a choice, you get punished for it. That's what they do to you. They sit you down and they tell you to shut up. Shut your mouth. We don't need you disrupting and teaching these kids that everything's just a bunch of ones. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. So math is an organizational method, right? That's what we use math a lot for. Whether you look at this image on the left side and you count the 6 pencils, or you look at it on the right side and count 6 pencils, if you know anything about multiplication, you'll see that on the right side, it's ordered. You have all the pencils the same exact way, pointing in the same direction, right? And you got 2 rows, the first 2 rows, and each one of those rows has 3 in it, right? That's what you see. And so it's easy if you know this, then you say, well, there's 2 rows, and there's 3 in each row, so 2 times 3 is 6, right? But then you look over to the left-hand side of it, right? And it's all chaotic. It's like some mofo just threw some shit in there and said, hey, these are your pencils. Like picking up a pile of pencils and tossing it to somebody and say, here's your pencils. And what are those pencils? How you have to count them up. They're not all nice. They're all not nice for you, are they? So you have to count each one of those pencils up individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So that's why math is used as an organizational method. So in this theory of 1 plus 1, we have to accept a very important thing here. Math is used to control someone or something. Well, the control freaks are going to hate me for this one. Okay? Because here are graphs. And whether you understand a graph, let me explain these graphs to you. Okay? From 1978 to 2015, the U.S. prison population increased. Okay? Then you have this publicly traded company that you can buy stocks in, okay? And their main service is incarcerating people, putting people in cages. And as you can see that the price of the stock went up from about 1995, 96, all the way to present day 2017. Okay, so as the prison population goes up, their stock price goes up, okay? To put people in cages, okay? Now, if you look at the bottom of the stock chart, you can see that they're actually paying people who own shares. That means you own a piece of the company. They're paying them cash dividends to put your fellow man in a cage. Okay? This is what you're getting. These people are getting paid. Okay? And guess what? Guess who can get money to put people in a cage? You can. You can profit off of putting your fellow human being in a cage. Isn't that great and wonderful? So you see that there's an incentive, incentive to put people in a prison. It is there so people can make money. It is not to make them a better person. It is not to make them a better person in society. It is to put the money in the pockets of criminals. Because that's how they profit. They can't build something in life. They can't build a home for themselves. They have to put somebody in a cage so they can take money and go buy a house or pay somebody to build a house for them. That's the way this shit works. So if you can understand in your mind that you're either going to be the one controlling the prison system or you're going to be the person in it. You're either going to be the person in the cage or you're going to be the person profiting off the cage. That's the way this system's all built. That's the way they want it to be. That's why you have to learn math. Because if you don't understand math on that deep, profound level, you will be put into a cage. If you want to keep learning math with a good teacher, you know what to do. Have a good day.